Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Michael Sanderling's incredible disappearing Shostakovich cycle. This was a mystery. I mean, a mystery. At first, these symphonies were released with bits of Beethoven symphonies. I don't mean bits, I mean with a Beethoven cycle sort of attached to them. And then they were released separately, but never in the U.S., never domestically that I could recall. They were available somehow, but there was never like a formal release. There was never any promotion, never any discussion, never any oh God forbid, advertising. Goodness, maybe a label should actually promote what it makes. No, nothing. There was nothing. And it just showed up and then it was gone. Fortunately, I got it when it showed up. And then it showed up again for like 10 minutes, maybe as an import. How these things work these days, I have no clue. Think about it. A major label, Sony Classical, does a complete cycle of Shostakovich symphonies. Not your sort of like, well, namby-pamby, let's do it every day sort of activity, right? And then does absolutely nothing with it. Well, here we are. Fortunately, this is out of print. I mean, don't even dream. But fortunately, it's all available in streaming audio. I actually heard most of these because I was moving and packing and whatnot through the Presto website, where I was able to listen to it. Marvelous streaming audio sound. And I mean, they're wonderful performances. Let's talk about the performances. Michael Sanderling is the son of Kurt Sanderling. Kurt Sanderling is a very good Shostakovich conductor. His older brother, Thomas Sanderling, is a very good Shostakovich conductor. They knew Shostakovich. They are like totally in on the Shostakovich thing. And his performances may remind us of his dad's in some respects, because there are some very deliberate tempos, but never boring tempos, but just deliberate tempos. But on the whole, I would say Michael Sanderling he's more of an interventionist Shostakovich conductor than a lot of the ones we've heard recently, who are just kind of like, either draggy slow or let's get on with it types. He's very thoughtful, really thoughtful, and he makes his interpretive points through phrasing. And phrasing is a marvelous thing if you get it right. Get it wrong and you sound mannered and affected and you suck the juice right out of the music. But get it right and you can make throwaway passages sound incredibly meaningful. And that's the kind of phrasing he indulges in. And I'll give you a few examples along the way, just so you get a sense of it. But the Dresden Philharmonic sounds terrific. They've got nice, low, rich, dark trombones and tubas, bright, tangy trumpets with just a hint of vibrato, characterful woodwinds, one of those deep, dark German string sections with lots of velvet in the sound, but also some energy and power. I mean, a sort of tactile wall of sound when it's necessary, and very crisp, clean percussion. I must say I was impressed. They've got a tam-tam. Terrific. So yeah, I mean, it's the real deal. It's a very good sound for Shostakovich, particularly with Sanderling at the helm. So let's take these one symphony at a time, and I can give you some highlights along the way. Symphony number uno. Number one, a very good performance. It was interesting how when Andris Nelsons did this first symphony, the first movement, it fell apart completely because every little thing after a pause was in its own tempo. It had its own thing. It didn't come together. Sanderling does a lot of similar stuff. He italicizes phrases, but it all fits together. There's a logic to it. It accumulates energy as it goes. It's very, very good. The slow movement here is beautiful, very sensitively done, and very attentive to the dynamics. It begins quite, sometimes, all of a sudden it like starts in the middle of nowhere, and you hear this snake charmer oboe going, not here. It's sensitive and really, really, really beautiful. So it's a very fine performance of the first. Now, no one cares about numbers 2 and 3. I kind of like them. I think they're fun. This number 2 is a blast. First of all, it has a factory whistle in F sharp. Now, if you've got a factory whistle, a real one in F sharp, whether it's an electronic simulacrum or not, I don't know, but who cares? It's all you need to get the Second Symphony right is a factory whistle and F sharp goes, wah, and then the chorus comes in. And when they start screaming at the end, you can really understand what they're saying. In Russian, fascinating. Even if you don't speak Russian, you can understand what they're saying. It's good. The third is a tougher piece in some ways, but again, it's a loud, noisy, unapologetic, lively performance, and that's really all you want in the third. I mean, there's nothing subtle there, no interpretive depths that need plumbing. And speaking of plumbing, the fourth, it's got a lot of plumbing. The fourth is really, really good. The tempos are all just about right. Now, the first area where I think you can hear him do things with phrasing is in the Fugue from Hell, in the first movement, where it usually just sounds like, like a cloud of insects that are attacking you and you want to swat them away. It's splat, and it's But here, it's a little bit slower than usual. He makes these strings phrase, and you understand that it's a fugue, and the fugue has a theme, and the theme is passed from instrument to instrument. It's really rather nifty to hear it all develop. It's okay just to be as exciting as hell and hell for leather crazy. That's okay too. But if you're not, then you have to make it mean something. And he does. And that's really, really cool. The whole performance is quite splendid. I mean, the ballet suite in the second movement has plenty of character. And the big chorale at the end is slower than usual again, but really powerful. And you really hear the ostinato underneath. Like the timpani. Great stuff. Okay, number 5. Well, what can we say about number 5? It's a very fine performance of number 5. It obviously takes a cue from Daddy Sanderling's performance in that it is obviously the end is the expression of torture and suffering, not the happy, optimistic variety. And boy, oh boy, does it torture and suffer. Does it torture and suffer as much as Dad's does? Well, maybe not quite as much. But Dad lived through a lot more. But this is really good. And those repeated A's, the cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha at the end, oh, they will drive you nuts. It's the idea. You get that feeling of pain, which is, I guess, what you kind of want most of the time. Everywhere else, it's just chock full of character. The scherzo is nice and gruff. The first movement is beautifully cogent and well held together. The largo is gorgeous. And here's another point. These slow movements, these largos and adagios that Shostakovich writes, they never sound too slow in Sanderling's hands because, again, phrasing, he knits them together well, but he also chooses flowing tempos. He doesn't exaggerate the slowness. He tends to be slower in quick movements in order to articulate, and you really hear that in the sixth, particularly in the finale. I mean, the first movement is unkillable. It's just beautiful and dark and plangent. That's the word. It's plangent. The scherzo is one of the quick ones. Not like Bernstein with the slow scherzo and faster finale. This is the faster scherzo and slower finale. Works both ways. You can do it any way you want. But the finale, which is presto, is, and you really hear them play with it in a fun way. It's jump, 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 jump. If you can get away with that, and he does, he doesn't always. I'll show you where. He doesn't always, but most of the time he does. It's marvelous. It makes you listen, and that's what's so cool about it. Now, the Leningrad. Okay, the Leningrad is missing a cymbal crash in the coda of the finale, right at the end, just at the end. There's a cymbal crash that isn't there. Oh well, it's okay. You won't miss it. I mean, I noticed it, but you won't miss it. Otherwise, the first movement is marvelous, and the build-up in the middle is just great. It's again, if you believe that endlessly repeated tune is a celebration of tawdriness and vulgarity, then your ship has come in. This is wonderful that way. It's very, very, very good. And, the scherzo is great. The adagio, again, is nicely flowing. And the finale rises to a huge climax that just, it's pretty pulverizing. It really is. And I have no issues with it, even with the missing cymbal crash. God knows there are enough of them. You do hear the actual pitch of the timpani at the end, which is always nice. Bum, 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 bum. Wonderful. So that was very good. 8 is a terrific performance. I mean, these are all turning out very well. as you can tell. Again, the first movement, oh, it's so powerful. My goodness, dark and gripping at the beginning. The strings play beautifully. And then the central climax just really builds. It's absolutely harrowing. It really is. The first scherzo is nice and clunky. The toccata, oh, the toccata. The toccata is not slowish at all. It's an absolutely standard. You know, the thing that's so cool about these performances is that when you get to these motoric things that Shostakovich does, he makes the playing sound like it's not just mechanical. You know, there's some expression there because Shostakovich does that. It's cha 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 cha. That can sound very blasé if you're in that mode, but there isn't anything here that sounds that way. It sounds like they're on top of it, and it's urgent and communicative. What it communicates, of course, is up to you. Then there's a really, really still and gripping Passacaglia and the devastating finale. First rate. Now, 9. 9 is really cool. Here's a case. Listen to the first movement of number 9. It's unusually slow, but everything is shaped and sculpted in a non-affected, but at the same time, really nicely comical way. Instead of, it's usually da 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 dum ba da 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 dum ba 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 dum bum ba dum. That's sort of the normal tempo. Here it's dum bum 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 ba da 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 dum bum ba da dum bum, and it just allows you to hear so much extra detail. They do something with the extra time. That's the point. If you're going to take the time, fill it up. Fill it up with meaningful stuff. And they do, and it's marvelous. You're going to love it. 10 is a hands-down great performance. It is also not a quick performance, particularly in the Stalin Scherzo and the finale, but it has the power. It has the expression. It has the menace. It has the angst. And as long as you got angst in Shostakovich, you're in really, really good business. Shostakovich needs his angst. So it's a very good 10th and very good. I mean, there's nothing bad here. You getting the clue here? The 11th, which is, the massacre is really exciting. He does not cut the tempo in half. For the actual massacre part, he actually stays in tempo. And it really, it's a smash, bang, crunch, thump, woo! And at the very end, the tocsin is ringing. Those bells just become clangorous. You understand that Sanderling really gets the idiom. He understands what Shostakovich wants to do, and he does it. He does it quite well. 12 is another very, very interesting performance for me because, as we all know, it's not Shostakovich's greatest work. It's a tough piece to do. The finale is a out-and-out failure, or as close as Shostakovich ever got to one. And once again, by taking tempos that are just a little bit less than usual and giving the music room to breathe, we breathe with it. It feels really good to hear this first movement played like it matters, like the music really is doing something. And the other two movements are sort of throwaways. I mean, the slow movement is dark and creepy, and the transition to the finale is noisy and creepy, then noisy, and then the finale. Oh, the finale. He almost pulls it off. He comes as close as Haitink, which is saying a lot. I mean, it's really, really well done. 13, Babi Yar. Well, this is a beautiful Babi Yar. It's somewhere between, the beauty and terror of Haitink and the darkness and terror of Barshai. He gets a little bit of both. I mean, the playing is very, very good, but it's pulverizingly intense in the first movement. It's extremely well sung. My goodness, it's well sung. And I think the last three movements, especially Fears, that is scary. Absolutely scary. And when a career comes in the last movement with the flutes going ya da 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 ba da 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 da, the lullaby character of the music, it's such a release. It's splendid. 14 is one where you may think it's as though everybody doing it is Elizabeth Schwarzkopf. Yeah, Schwarzkopf. You know who I mean. The world's most mannered singer. I like this performance. It's very gripping. It's extremely graphic. Both singers, and they're marvelous. Let's just say who they are here. Just for the let's see. Mikhail Petrenko is the bass in 13. In 14, we've got Polina Pasterchak or something like that. Pasterchak, that's what it looks like, and Dmitry Ivashenko as the bass. They are extremely attentive to the meaning of the text. I mean, really, like in Madame Look, where she does the laugh. Hey, ha, ha, choo, ha, ha, choo, ha, ha, choo. It sounds like she's sneezing. It really does. She goes, ha, ha, choo, ha, ha, choo, like that. She's, it may be a bit too much. You know what I mean? It gets a little bit self-regarding, but wow, does it communicate? It really, really tells. So I can't complain about it in that sense. And as for 15, it's very much like Kurt Sanderling's performance. Measured tempos, even the opening, even the first movement is it's gentle. It wakes up gradually. The humor in the William Tell Overture imitations is all the more affecting for that reason. And the finale is slow, and the climax of that Passacaglia, wow, it's really going to knock you through the back wall. And the very ending is very measured. The tick, however it does that, very, very slow. It's in no rush. It's really just ticking off into eternity. It's fabulous, fabulous. So what we have here is a great Shostakovich cycle, full of character, full of personality, full of good ideas, and as good as unavailable. I mean, it's just enough to make you crazy, isn't it? I feel sorry, but go get it on Presto. Stream it one performance at a time. Listen to it, savor it, enjoy it. You will. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a brilliant achievement. Michael Sanderling is a very fine conductor. The whole family is very, very good. They're very, very good. So this was great to have. Would that it had been properly promoted. What do we expect, right? Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.